Today is the 18th of August. Of course, we have, sorry, my name is Tim. I'm a meteorologist and recent graduate of Mississippi State, and I'm glad to have you on my channel here. I hope that you had a good weekend. Here is the latest satellite, infrared satellite loop showing Erin out here in just north of the Greater Antilles, churning up the waters out here and starting to make its turn towards the west, northwest. Although it's moving quite slow right now. And you have another tropical system out here in the deep tropics, forecast to move this way. Let's put the timer on a little bit longer. This way, and maybe develop once it reaches this area here again. So, closer up loop of Erin here. It's gotten a lot larger, and expect to get even larger. You can see the eye visible again. Do true color here. If we look at long wave infrared close up, it appears that it's got mesovortices, which are just different circulations within the eye moving around it. Plus, it looks like it has concentric eye walls again, which is interesting to note because it just underwent an eyeball replacement cycle. But it's forecast to grow even larger. And the National Hurricane Center has noted that it's going to be within the 80th percentile of size, which is incredible considering how small it was. See, it's kind of wobbling right now, moving pretty slowly here. Here is the latest on Erin, Category 4 hurricane again. Not likely to strengthen as fast as it did before, and it has a smaller window of intensification because of increase in shear that'll be occurring in the next, as it moves to the north here, close to the mid-latitude westerlies. Also, there's some dry air surrounding it, which it may ingest, but as the cyclone gets larger, it takes a longer time, first of all, to intensify because of the larger size, also to weaken because the changes to the environment have less immediate impact on the system. Excuse me. We have this new disturbance that I showed you on the satellite loop that's not new, but it's recent. Forecast to move to the west here, really low latitudes around 10 north. And as I've talked about before, tropical systems don't tend to develop if they're south of 10 degrees north latitude because there's very little Coriolis force, which is apparent motion based on the spin of the Earth beneath a system like this, which would help induce tropical cyclogenesis, meaning from a wave or disturbance to a depression, closed circulation. So, given that, this is one of the more important things we need to look at. Rip current risk. Rip currents are not apparent when you're at the beach until you get in the water and you get pulled out into the ocean by these currents induced by these big waves produced by Erin or any storm or winds. And if you're on the beach anywhere here on these islands, Um, Watch for the flags on the beach. If it tells you not to go in the water, don't go in the water. Simple enough. It's not worth risking your life for. And tomorrow, the rip current risk is forecast to increase as Erin grows in size, as wind field expands. And I'll show you here. This is a depiction of the wind field surrounding Erin, right? And the wave height, significant wave height and direction of combined wind waves and swells. Erin's still relatively small here. It's about right on time here, just north of the Bahamas. See the winds propagating towards the coast here, and waves as well getting larger. Not winds aren't propagating; the wind field's getting larger, and hence the waves are getting higher. 30, 40 foot waves just off the coast here. With it's forecasting possibly 20, 30 foot waves off the coast. That's that's nuts right here. Think about that. Um, that's kind of scary when you think about it. So, and because it's going to move slowly, what's going to happen is, and this hurricane model shows it well. This is the HWRF parent. See the sea surface temps beneath where Erin has been so far. It hasn't really caused a lot of upwelling, even though the temps have cooled some in its wake. As it gets larger, you see what happens here. The temps get below 26C in its path because it's moving so slow and the wind field is larger. And that may induce also some weakening. And you see it wants to really curve to the right out to sea here. But you see in its wake, sub 26C sea surface temps. So that's important because as the other system possibly develops out here, if it takes the same path, I'm not saying it will because it hasn't even developed yet, but you can see what looks like maybe a general cyclonic motion already out here. So we'll have to see what happens. Again, the rip current risks are tomorrow. Don't go out in the water. This is the current surface wind field estimate for Hurricane Ian. You see how much larger it is than it was just yesterday. It's crazy how big it is. It's got a 30-mile eye during its most intense when it intensified. I think it was Friday. Its eye was 6 miles in diameter. Getting some more coffee here. Sorry, folks. Got tropical storm warnings in the Bahamas and all the different islands out here, and tropical storm watches. Probably be, and you see how much the wind field has expanded. So now that the winds are impacting these islands, whereas yesterday you probably wouldn't have had that if it's small size. This is the latest cone of uncertainty, tightly clustered here until we get out between Bermuda and the East Coast. There may still be some impacts. Risk of strong winds without array bands during the middle part of the week. It's going to be large in size, so you know, just because it's out in the middle of the ocean doesn't mean we won't see impacts. It won't be direct impacts, but rip currents, high waves, and potential winds of tropical storm force. This is what I'm talking about here. And the National Hurricane Center has noted that their modeling doesn't necessarily handle these large cyclones that well and their wind fields. So likely the probability of the winds on the outer edges of this cone are underdone. So we'll just have to keep an eye on it, but it'll be different than what you're used to because winds will be out of the north. So you may have some storm surge depending on how high the winds are on the north facing beaches here. Bermuda will be impacted as well. This is the latest thinking from the Euro and the AI models. Pretty much the same thing we've been talking about. And then the other low pressure developing out here. And it wants to recurve it as well, but it remains to be seen what happens here when it develops. When we look at the ensembles here, this is the European, GFS, UCMET, and CMC, all the global ensemble models. It shows the trends from when we started doing runs, 18 August. Wait, this is just different runs, and like it shows the track ensemble mean, how it's moved to the left where this black line is here. There have been track shifts to the left on almost every model run, but I think right now, if it shifts just a little bit more to the left, sensible impacts could increase along the outer banks here. So we really need to keep an eye on what the final path of this hurricane ends up being and how big its wind field gets. This shows the overall difference between the first initialization and now. 729 kilometers, which is about 500 miles between here and here. This is the intensity plot and track. Kind of wobbled to the left, kind of went to the right a little bit, then to the left, and to the right, and now it's moving to the left again a little bit. Just wobbled really. Category 4 intensity, 130 miles an hour. This is the latest intensity forecast, still 145 right now. It's forecast to grow in size and also weaken some as it moves up to the north here. Rapid intensification probabilities are kind of not very high, given its max potential intensity is going to decrease over time as the wind shear increases, the sea surface temps get below optimal values, relative humidity values decrease, and the heat content, of course, decreases at the same time as it moves out to sea here. So we have the European ensembles here. This shows Erin, and a little bit further out in time here, it's a couple of days from now. It's crazy, it's still hanging around. It shows its slow forward motion here, tightly clustered until you reach between the continental U.S. and Bermuda. There's still quite a bit of spread here. Given this is 4 days away, there's still a good possibility of, going way out to the left here or way out to the right here. So we just need to keep an eye on it. And we have this other potential system wanting to maybe develop something in the Caribbean. Not a lot of members agree. This latest run. See if I have latest run. I don't. Still running apparently. Oh wait, here we go. So quite a bit of spread. Anyway, we're going to move on to what this potential system in the Caribbean might do. And when we look at that, well, it's important to understand what's going to happen with Erin, but the direct impacts to the United States and Bermuda don't look like are going to be like really bad, but we just need to keep an eye on it, like I said. And we have this other system maybe developing in the Caribbean. Looks kind of weak, but some members do want to get it stronger, but there's quite a bit of spread on what might happen still. And if we look at the go through time here, that's that system down here, potential development, moisture pocket. Wants to get it going, but surrounded by a lot of dry air, and really never develops it much more than a week system here. What does the American ensembles, GFS ensemble show? A little more tightly clustered, but you can see where Erin, the how fast it moves out to sea. It really gets spread out here. But it pretty much agrees with the European at this point. But still, we could have some sensible impacts close to the coast here. Like I said, not bad, but I think we're gonna at least get some winds and waves. Like I said, so I don't know. I for this other system, there's a 50% chance of developing right now, but the models are still kind of not that bullish on much getting going here. The GFS wants to take this further south and keep a deeper moisture pocket with it and move it over Florida. There's a less intense system, likely because this high pressure stays to its north and steers it a little further west. Another thing to look at too with this system out here is winds at the upper levels. And you have Erin, you have this system out here. Quite a bit of wind shear with it. Not a lot of divergence aloft as it moves. And then as it moves over the Caribbean, it wants to develop a high pressure over it with some divergence maybe, and maybe develop it. But the models aren't that bullish right now. So I think the 50% chance is development right now is pretty much on par with my thinking. Once when and if we get a tropical depression or circulation that we can track, then let's just see if the Hurricane Center, they don't have anything tracking anything right now with that. We'll be able to get a better bead on what we think it's going to do. So, what does the global ensembles think as far as this other system goes? Just they're all over the place. I'm not that impressed with the next system, at least right now. And again, once we get development to circulation or depression, then we'll be able to get a better idea what's going to happen here. So, what's a Euro AI show with this? I have Erin up here. Euro AI wants to kind of bring it across the tropical Atlantic, maybe develop it and swing it out to sea as another trough moves into the east here. So this is one of the more important things, and I think go over this again, the significant wave height. You see what I'm talking about here on the Outer Banks, 20 up to 30-foot waves approaching the Outer Banks as Erin moves to the north here. All along the coast, even you see where that model's touching the coastline right here with those higher waves in 20-30 foot range. This could be pretty serious with the waves. I'd be interested to see what happens here. You could have some low inland flooding too, just because the winds are so strong, and not the winds are so strong, but the winds pushing the water over the long areas here. Look how large the system gets. It's crazy. If you got any fish out here, then we need to let them know too, so they can get out of the way of this thing. I don't want to be around this thing when it comes past. Anyway, that's all I got for today, guys. Hopefully this was helpful, and we'll continue to watch Erin as it moves to the north, and we'll also continue to keep an eye on the other system as it moves to the west in the tropical Atlantic.